Guys, I am so excited to share with you that we were absolute green goblins last week.
We were.
Dude.
It has to be said right now.
4-0. We just had to start the pod with these incredible picks. So starting off here, we had the Lakers against the Clippers, and I said Lakers money line, plus money, plus 188 on this pick.
Wow, that was a good one.
Well, I don't know if you saw much of this game, but going into the fourth quarter, the Lakers were down 19 points.
No way.
Okay?
I think I heard about this, actually.
Yeah. So the Lakers were down 19 points, and LeBron goes off in the fourth quarter.
As he does.
LeBron outscores the entire Clippers team by himself in the
crazy.
fourth quarter. And the Lakers come back, win this game, and they have their largest come-from-behind victory after being down at the end of the third quarter since 2003.
Wow.
For the Lakers to cash for us.
They made history just for us.
Dude, they did. And then we've got Atlanta at Brooklyn. And now, not knowing what the spread is, I blindly pick the Brooklyn Nets to cover the spread. Brooklyn is favored minus 1.5 against Atlanta without Trae Young.
Right.
They blow them out of the water. They win by 30 points.
Wow. That's insane.
Unbelievable. And even the Conch continues its surgical streak in predicting Tennessee as underdogs to cover plus 2.5. And not only did they cover the spread, they beat Alabama outright.
Yeah, so it was a good game.
Yeah, talk about a surgical week. And to move that even further, how about you with your spread prediction, man? You were so on it this week.
I am Vegas.
Dude, you are.
I am the odds maker.
I love that. I
am the book.
You could be a bookie. Yeah, I want to start getting lines from you every single week.
Those are the jobs I should start applying for.
Dude,
but I've never
absolutely.
even heard that as an opportunity before. I don't even know how you get to the point where you could work for a sports book. But hey,
bro, you are an analytical alchemist, and I feel pretty confident that you would make that happen.
Yeah, it just felt like the right spread. Alabama's had some big wins. They've also had some kind of ugly losses. Their defense is not very good at all.
Yeah.
And it was shown here yet again, Tennessee coming into their place and beating them. But Tennessee is really legit. They're the best team in the SEC, I believe. I think they're going to make a deep run into the playoffs. They might not be a 1 seed, but I think they will end up doing some damage as a 2 seed.
Yeah, they started off this game against Alabama so strong, man. I mean, they came out and they were beating Alabama by 12 points, I think, in the first quarter at some point, or the first half, rather. And suddenly they just kind of let it fall off. Alabama ends up taking the lead in the second half. And so originally I thought, well, this Alabama minus 2.5 line was kind of a joke because Tennessee's out here beating them by 12, immediately. But
did get a little closer.
Yeah, it got much closer. Yeah. Tennessee was down by 7 at one point in the second half, but then they came back, still won it. It was a good game overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. It's hard to win on the road in a situation like this in the SEC contested environment like Alabama is. So very impressive from them, and I'm excited to get March Madness going here soon.
Yes, and very impressive from us, too, on our first ever, where our entire board was green here for our best bets.
No, it looks really good. The fact that I was able to get the spread prediction, at least, at some point during its run, some sports books at 2.5, it just felt right with, like I said, being at home is such a big factor. If Tennessee was at home in this game, they'd be favored by 10 or more, I would believe.
Sure.
So,
yeah,
it was good to see that. And today, if you didn't already tell by the title of this episode, we're going to be talking and going through our first mock draft of the 2024 NFL Draft for the first round, picks 1 through 32. Although it was technically allowed, we did not think or factor in any trades, any possible trades that may occur, but that might be included in a 2.0 version that we do down the road. So I say we go through just pick by pick. And a lot of these are similar. And I also want to say I base mine off Joel Klatt. He's my favorite guy to listen to when it comes to college football, especially the deep dive analytical stuff like this. I trust him the most. He really throws his heart and soul into this. So I based it off this, although there was one just stupid decision, in my opinion, that he had in his draft that I completely changed. And we will talk about that. So let's just dive right in. We both do have Caleb Williams going to the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like the obvious pick here. I mean, there's no way that they're not taking Caleb unless they trade their pick. I mean, it would be foolish of them to take anyone else.
I just don't see them trading the number 1 pick twice in a row.
I mean, don't either.
Last year it made sense because the QB class just was not viewed that well.
Right.
This year it's generational. There are multiple guys that could be franchise guys. I mean, there's also a chance all these guys could bust, but a higher probability that Caleb Williams is a success than Bryce Young would have been. So it's the right decision here. It's time to move off Justin Fields. He already's stopped following the Bears on Instagram and started following a bunch of Falcons. So it just seems like he's going to be going to Atlanta, which I think is a good fit.
Yeah, let's talk for a second though about his decision to opt out not only of all of the combine, but even the medical records. I mean, this just seems like an odd decision because
he just knows he's so good. He's gonna be the number 1 pick no matter what. So he doesn't have to do anything. He can let everyone come to him. Yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense, although it seems like a dick move. It seems like you're being conceited and snobbish, but like at the end of the day, you've already put everything that you need to out there on tape at Oklahoma, at USC, that nothing, absolutely nothing can change the outcome except if he goes out and, I don't know, gets a DUI or he does something stupid off the field. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I just don't like the way that it gives off the vibe of him being like almost arrogant.
I mean, it's all his camp though. Like Caleb Williams is not smart enough to come up with all these decisions, in my opinion. Like he's also not coming up with, I want like 20% of the organization that drafts me. Like I want 20% of the Bears. That's his camp. Like he's got just a whole dense drove of people that are vouching for him and coming up with all these things to help him, including his parents, of course, his agent, and all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, he's not making all these decisions himself. So you got to give him some slack. I think when he ends up taking on his persona a little bit more, like right now, the Caleb Williams persona includes a lot of people that are, kind of going for him. They're striving for his success. So I think eventually you'll see a little bit more of his individuality.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Moving on to our second pick here, I am saying that Washington will take Jaden Daniels, QB out of LSU. But
that's a bold pick.
Is it? Is it that bold?
Yeah, I really think Drake May is cemented in as the second pick going to the Commanders. I think there's a significant gap in between. There's a gap in between Caleb and Drake, but then the gap between Drake and the rest of the guys is pretty substantial. I like Jaden Daniels a lot. He obviously won the Heisman Trophy, but his stats were padded this year through games against Grambling, Georgia State, in which he really could have called out how many touchdowns he wanted in that game. I mean, some of the games that he played this year were just stat padders, whereas Michael Penix had a lot tougher schedule, I would say, and still won all of his games. Jaden Daniels lost 3 games. Granted, he was pulled against Alabama for injury, but I just don't. Yeah, I mean, Jaden Daniels, they even lost to FSU, Florida State at the beginning of the year, which was a game that he didn't play great in. He just accumulated so many stats rushing and throwing, in which he had a track team of receivers. And like I said, just not going up against the best of competition, even though he's in the SEC. But he did drop 3 games. Let's remember, Ole Miss, Alabama, and Florida State. And then secondly, he is such a scrawny guy. Like he is built very thin, rail thin, and yet he runs like Derrick Henry. So he's going to be very injury prone throughout his career. Like if you think Anthony Richardson's going to get injured a lot, I mean, Anthony Richardson's like twice as thick as Jaden Daniels. So I just don't see it with him. He could very well be successful, but he's got to change his style of play a little bit. And I think it's a bigger risk than Drake May, who just seems like a prototypical, like Justin Herbert type of guy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you just said. However, the pick here is based on this article that was just recently released here. It actually was crafted 3 hours ago.
Oh, wow.
It says,
That's
Commanders Dan Quinn will push to draft the next Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, says analyst.
Drake May can run just fine. Drake May could run close to Lamar Jackson. I mean, all these guys can run around except for Michael Penix.
I guess
honestly,
that's fair.
All of them are very good scramblers.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it. At the end of the day, Dan Quinn is a defensive coach. He really should not be dabbling in this type of decision at all.
Dude, that's exactly what this is like saying here. It says defensive-minded head coaches go nuts for quarterbacks who can do things off schedule and run the football. He's the next Lamar Jackson.
Drake May can do plenty off schedule. Just look at some of his games from North Carolina.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I think that he's probably not as close to Lamar as Jaden Daniels is.
That's true, but Drake May is just a way more complete player.
Mm-hmm.
Drake May put up 5 touchdowns against Notre Dame one time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Notre Dame still beat him, though.
Especially, Notre Dame's defense is so elite.
Just think about that. Caleb Williams really struggled against Notre Dame. The year after, Drake May kind of obliterated their defense, even though he still lost.
Yeah.
So that's my thought on that. You have Jaden Daniels going second. I have Jaden Daniels going third to New England. So we just are a little swappy on that. But at the end of the day, they're both great players. I think they will have success in the league to differing levels, of course. I just think Drake May is a much more surefire than Jaden Daniels. I'm not saying Jaden Daniels could end up being better. I just think Drake May is a much more complete player right now.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And then for our fourth pick, we both are in agreement here. Marvin Harrison Jr. going to Arizona.
Yeah,
it seems like the obvious pick here. However, I did see one little wacky mock draft where the Giants traded up with Arizona, but they didn't take Marvin Harrison. Then they took J.J. McCarthy, and I thought this was the wackiest mock draft ever.
Bro,
that
is ridiculous, man.
I still feel like they could get JJ at the 6th spot, so why are they trading up to 4?
JJ might even fall to the 2nd or 3rd round. JJ is not that ready yet. He's so raw. I can't believe so many people are as high on JJ McCarthy as they are. It's absolutely ridiculous to me. Bro barely showed anything throughout the course of his career. He played in such a system trained for quarterback success when they are not asked to do much. I don't see it with J.J. McCarthy right now. He's got to go somewhere where he can sit for at least a year. He just turned 21 a month ago.
Yeah.
The bro is super young. So I don't like that at all. Yes, I have Arizona taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Kyler Murray needs another weapon on the outside, especially. I don't know if they're going to continue on with Hollywood Brown. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's not been great in Arizona.
Dude, he had just like the worst season ever last year. He fell off the face of the earth. I don't even think he was their top receiver, man.
I think he could have been. But they had that Michael Wilson who was pretty good.
Yeah.
And Trey McBride really came on as a good tight end.
Oh, he did.
But
after Ertz went out.
Right. Speaking of tight ends, at 5, we both have Brock Bowers. I think this is a phenomenal choice. This is exactly what you want if you're Justin Herbert. Exactly what you want as Jim Harbaugh, who's faced Brock Bowers before in the playoffs in 2021 when Michigan got obliterated by Georgia. Brock Bowers is a phenomenal pass-catching tight end. He could be the next Travis Kelce. People are going to say that. They're going to throw that around for sure. He might not end up being that good, but he's as surefire as it gets when it comes to a position like this. And, what do they have? Like Gerald Everett,
I was about to say,
Donald
Everett,
Parham right now.
Yeah, Everett is not the answer at tight end. Brock Bowers is clearly, a much better talent.
This is perfect fit for them.
Yeah, think about their offensive scheme now, man. If Mike Williams comes back healthy from his injury,
they could be deadly.
And Keenan Allen is obviously still going to be there. And then they've got Brock Bowers too. This is an unstoppable force on their offense.
Yeah, if they use it correctly, it really could be great.
And under a good coach now, they're liable to do it correctly.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I could see some stuff getting switched around here. Who knows? If they don't end up retaining Mike Williams, I could see them maybe taking a receiver. But I think Brock Bowers is the way to go.
Yeah, although I do think that we both have him higher than he seems to be taken in most mock drafts. I see a lot of them kind of have Bowers like around the 14 spot.
Joel Klatt did have him at 5. I kept that the same.
Okay.
So far, Joel Klatt and I are exact.
Okay,
I believe.
Nice.
So number 6, we both have Malik Neighbors. So the receiver that Jaden Daniels threw to, one of them. The other one we have, well, at least I have going a little bit later on in the first round. The dude's an animal. He put up great numbers. Honestly, he might have put up better numbers this year than Marvin Harrison. So a lot of people are a little bit throttled about Marvin Harrison, especially those SEC. Like the people in the South, are obviously going to favor anyone in the SEC, regardless of if it's their team or not. But, of course, you had a much better quarterback throwing to Malik Neighbors than you did Ohio State Marvin Harrison. So that's why things are where it's at right now. But Malik Neighbors is a phenomenal player. I think he is, as surefire as it gets, probably as close as you can to Marvin Harrison in terms of, a successful wide receiver here. And yeah, it's exactly what the Giants need.
Yeah, I was
they
about
really
to say,
struggle at this position. With Isaiah Hodgkins.
Who else are they throwing
Darius
the ball
Slayton.
to? Yeah, they need a top talent at receiver. So Malik Neighbors makes a lot of sense for them here.
Yes, 100%. At 7, I do have Joel Alt out of Notre Dame. Bro just ran a 5.05 40-yard dash.
I missed the offensive lineman. I missed the Sunday
stupid.
one.
It really doesn't make much sense why they make the big boys run. But yeah, he actually had a good 40-yard dash or whatever it is, 5.05 I think it was or whatever. But yeah, Tennessee needs somebody to replace Taylor Lewan from a couple years ago in terms of that offensive line. And again, as far as surefire gets, Joe Alt's going to be incredible. He was absolutely amazing at Notre Dame. And I think they need somebody to protect Will Levis so he's not running around as much as he was before.
Yeah, I think that your pick is much more likely than mine. I actually have Rome Odunze here at my 7 pick for Tennessee. And yeah, almost every single mock draft I have seen has Joe Alt getting taken by Tennessee. But I just thought, Tennessee needs a receiver to throw the ball to.
Yeah, they do need somebody.
D-Hop is washed. He's getting a little too old. He's not a star talent anymore. And who else are they going to throw the ball to, man? They don't have anyone.
Yeah, they really don't. Unless Treylon Burks just comes out of the woodworks finally.
That's not going to happen. There's no way.
I'd like to see it, but probably not.
Yeah, and so I thought, well, maybe, they could use a top talent here at receiver. So I put Rome Odunze going to Tennessee. But yeah, I know a lot of mock drafts have him down with Chicago, and I know we'll get to that in a minute, but that is where you have him as well.
I have Odunze going to Chicago. Chicago absolutely needs another wide receiver threat. Darnell Mooney was not very good this year. Obviously, Justin Fields is not the best quarterback in the world, but there were some plays that Darnell Mooney made that just maybe really scratched my head because I used to really like him out of Tulane. He was a really good, kind of sneaky good receiver, small guy, but he made some plays. And even though DJ Moore was there, it should have made life easier for a guy like Darnell Mooney in the second spot now. But yeah, he probably had one of his worst years as a pro. So they need somebody else in addition to Cole Kmet. They just do. They don't have enough weapons there.
Yeah.
And
how about the Bears? How about the Bears coming away in this draft with Caleb Williams at the 1 spot and Rome Odunze at the 9th, though? That is an incredible first-round draft.
Yeah, it really is. Especially, it's exciting. 2 offensive pieces. It's definitely going to hype up the fans. You got 2 big names. Rome Odunze does worry me a little bit. I would say there's a bigger chance of him to bust than the first 2 guys. I don't know why. He just kind of gives me J.J. Arcega-Whiteside vibes, the guy who went to the Eagles. Jalen Reagor, you remember him? Those Eagles receivers. N'Keal Harry, Arizona State. He kind of just gives me some of those vibes. I could be way off. But I am a little worried. Michael Penix passed the ball so well, and Rome Odunze just caught it. I know I'm simplifying things, but at the end of the day, when it comes to Marvin Harrison, Kyle McCord was a lot less impactful, a lot less of the reason for the success. Whereas here, I think the quarterback might have been a little bit more of the reason for the success, but still a great talent. Yep. And should be able to be at least productive. When you got DJ Moore on there, again, it should make your life easy.
Yes, sir. Now, I actually had swapped Joe Alt with Rome Odunze from your list, so I have Joe Alt at 9.
We completely skipped 8.
I know, yeah.
Oopsies.
No, it's all good. So yeah, I got Joe Alt here at 9. This was honestly more of a little homerism pick because I like ND and I wanted to see,
him to go to Chicago.
Yeah, that would just kind of be cool.
Like Cole Kmet.
Yeah, exactly. So
Chase
I was
Claypool for a hot minute.
Yeah, so maybe Joe Alt could get to the Bears. They need to improve their O-line. Their O-line has always been a little shaky. But yeah, for our 8 pick, though, at Atlanta, we both have Dallas Turner here. Edge rusher out of Alabama. One of the best ones in the entire draft. I think it actually is. It is the best edge rusher in the draft.
Undoubtedly.
Dude,
he's
ran
an animal.
Yeah, I think he ran a 4.46. Was his 40 time.
Sounds about right.
Dude, that is unprecedented for an edge rusher. this is a big boy, and he's running so quick, man.
No, yeah, he's going to be scary for a lot of opposing quarterbacks, and that's exactly what Atlanta needs.
Yeah.
While their secondary was pretty good, pretty lethal on the back end, they really did not generate a whole lot of pressure.
No,
so
Need
that's
someone
exactly
to sack.
what they need. A few other teams similar, but Atlanta here is in a great spot. They already got Dallas, or who is it? Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. They have plenty of weapons. They just need to be able to generate some more pressure on opposing quarterbacks.
I can agree with that. And then at the 10 spot here for the Jets, we both have, I couldn't even pronounce his
Olu Fashanu.
Yeah, his first name is much longer than that, but we'll just shorten it to Olu for, easiness. Out of Penn State. Now, this is kind of what the Jets need as well. I mean, they need someone to protect Aaron Rodgers this year. Don't want him tearing his Achilles on play 4.
It is of paramount importance that they protect Aaron Rodgers. They already have Garrett Wilson. Obviously, another receiver would be nice, but Garrett Wilson's a phenomenal piece. Breece Hall, phenomenal piece. Okay, now you got to protect Aaron Rodgers as 39, 40 years old, whatever he is now. I think he might even be older than that. But, yeah, it's imperative. They have to. This is one of the most surefire picks, I think, in the first rounds here, just because it's their most evident priority.
Yeah, Aaron is 40, and he'll be turning 41 in December of this year.
When's his birthday?
December 2nd, very close to yours.
Oh, 1 week away.
Yeah, but so, I mean, this one definitely seems likely. Their Jets already have some solid pieces on offense.
Yeah.
This is definitely their move.
Yeah, I would love to see him sign Devontae Adams. I would love that, man.
Yeah, I mean, that would be crazy.
A lot of people are hating on the Jets, hating on Aaron Rodgers, and there's a lot of things I disagree with him off the field, but he's just got a swagger that I like.
Is he a free agent right now?
Devontae?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so, but it would have to be a trade. Yeah, Devontae is definitely not a free agent. He's on like a 4-year deal maybe with the Raiders.
Gotcha.
And he's entering his 3rd year.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our 11th pick. I have Terrion Arnold, cornerback. Minnesota's defense was not great, especially beginning on at the start of the year. They need to shore up that back end of the defense a little bit more, and this is exactly what Arnold will provide. But we're getting into that territory where you're just kind of filling in those priorities. And I don't know these players as well as some of the offensive guys, just to keep in mind. But you have a very interesting pick here at 11.
Yeah, dude, I am going with J.J. McCarthy here at 11.
Ugh.
No, you don't like that
I
pick?
at least like he would go somewhere where he would sit, assuming I hope, would assume
Kirk.
that they will play Kirk for another year or so.
Yeah, so Kirk's on free agency right now, but I am just assuming that they're going to sign him for another year. It would just make sense in the same way it would make sense, I think, for Tampa Bay to re-sign Baker for another year.
I would be surprised if both of them went other places.
Right, yeah, I agree. And so I do think that Kirk will be back in Minnesota this year, and this would give JJ the opportunity to learn from a mentor. Kirk is solid. I would say he's in the top half of QBs in the league.
Yeah.
He's not, he's not Aaron Rodgers and he's not Patrick Mahomes,
no.
But he's still a solid quarterback.
Kirk's a top 12, top 14 QB right now.
Yeah, I like that. And so this would be a good place for JJ to learn. And
I just think it's way too high. The fact that he's going in front of Bo Nix and Penix is just mind-boggling to me.
I don't know, man. I mean, a lot of people seem to be really high on him.
I just don't get it, man. Like, he put up decent numbers in college, and he only lost 2 games, both of which being playoff games at Georgia and TCU respectively. But he played in a system that was run first, lots of play action. He barely threw the ball down the field. Bowling Green picked him off 3 times in a single game.
I mean, that could have just been a little fluky.
I mean,
game
it certainly
from him.
was.
Maybe he broke up with his girlfriend the day before. And
it
was
definitely
just
seemed like
day.
a rough day for him. I mean, when you're going up against Bowling Green and they pick you off 3 times, it's just like, I don't know. It's way too soon. He just turned 21.
No, that is fair. So he definitely is too young to really prosper in the league right now. But like I said, there have been mock drafts done by these NFL analysts that have him going at the 4 spot.
It's just hard to wrap my head around that, dude. It's hard. It reminds me of when they were talking about Mac Jones maybe being drafted number 3 overall by the Niners.
That sounds gross.
Back in the day. They were like, because there was a huge controversy who's going to take Trey Lance, where's Justin Fields going to fall.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, oh, yeah, Kyle Shanahan kind of likes Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't end up happening. He fell to wherever New England was in that draft, which was kind of far down.
Right.
And the Niners took Trey Lance. There was a lot of talk, but it never ended up happening. It's goofy. for J.J. McCarthy to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
I don't even like him where I put him. But I at least like that he would sit. We've seen a lot of success with quarterbacks who sat. Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes sat for a year as well. It's just the right thing to do, I think. A lot of these guys are thrown right into the fire, and they're not all as good as C.J. Stroud and Justin Herbert, where they're good from the get-go.
Yeah.
Josh Allen took a good year to be really remotely good. I mean, he really struggled his first year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm glad that Buffalo still gave him a chance, though.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to number 12 here, I have Bo Nix going to Denver. I love this pick here. It just seems like this is the type of guy that Sean Payton at Denver would really like. He seems like the perfect guy to be coachable, learn in the system, and kind of be the next Drew Brees. He's a lot more mobile than Drew Brees ever was, and he's really good in a good system, and that's exactly what Sean Payton can create, whereas Russell Wilson was a little bit too free and just kind of lucky, whatever they say, happy-go-lucky. Bo Nix is the perfect fit here, it seems, for Denver, who absolutely needs a quarterback. They will be getting rid of Russell Wilson, and we all know Jarrett Stidham is not the long-term answer.
Oh, dude, no, you cannot trust Jarrett Stidham with any of that. Yeah, I also have Bo Nix here. I really like the pick, and I actually learned just over the weekend when watching the Combine that he had incredible accuracy.
He has the record for the highest accuracy of any college quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, I was shocked. I didn't realize that he was that
surgical.
Elite. Dude, that's really impressive. And when you account for the drops of his receivers as well, I think that they were saying that 86% of his passes would have been completed if you include like his receiver dropped the ball.
Right.
Which is just nuts.
Yeah, that is nuts. I will say, though, he was in a big system type of guy. I mean, Oregon is the perfect place for a quarterback. So quarterback friendly. And in the conference championship game, I remember he didn't complete like his first 4 or 5 passes. His first pass in that game hit the ref.
Oh, whoa.
So he's not going to be as accurate as you may think.
Yeah.
But he did have a very good career. Auburn first, then Oregon. He holds the record for the most starts as a college quarterback as well. Keep that in mind. So he's very experienced compared to J.J. McCarthy, who's like a little boy compared to Bo Nix, who's like our age. Maybe I think Bo Nix, Michael Penix are a little older than us.
Did he do 6 years like Hartman did?
No, Bo Nix did. So his first year of starting was our freshman year at Notre Dame in 2019 at Auburn. And then he started 2 years at Auburn, 2 years at Oregon. I need to look up exactly, though. I don't think he's been in college quite as long. I mean,
I'm surprised that he has the record over Sam Hartman in terms of number of games started.
Sam Hartman had a lot of like injury type time. Yeah,
I see.
All right, yeah. Bo Nix had 5 years of full-on starting.
Wow.
That's the thing.
Very impressive.
He had 3 at Auburn, 2 at Oregon.
Got it.
And yeah, Sam Hartman here will pull up. He had an injury year. Okay, so Sam Hartman he started 9 games in 2018, but then the following year he only started 4.
Oof.
Then he started 9 in 2020, which was the abbreviated COVID year, and then he started every single game 2021, 2022, 2023. So his starts is at 57. And so he's only beat out by 4. Bo Nix had 61.
Wow, very close.
But Michael Penix also has a ton. I mean, and this Dylan Gabriel, actually, who's the new quarterback at Oregon for the next season upcoming, is in line. If he starts every game, he will beat that record by like 3 or 4 games. He'll have like 65 starts. Yeah,
very impressive.
So that will be beat. Yeah, Michael Penix actually only had 45 starts, so Sam Hartman's got him beat.
I got you. Yeah, you actually have Michael Penix here. Going to Vegas, which I think is a very interesting
I don't
pick.
really like this. I don't know where I want to put Michael Penix. A lot of people have just been so down on him and high on JJ since the conference or the national championship.
Yeah, since Michigan won.
I understand why Michael Penix did not play great in that game, but JJ didn't really play great either. He didn't really have to do much. I think he was like 10 for 17 for 148 yards in that game. Michael Penix threw a lot more. Honestly, I think he threw probably the highest yard total against Michigan of the entire year, even though he was picked off a couple times and wasn't crazy accurate. Michigan's defense was just elite, and he was pressured heavily. Vegas, I would be really surprised if they commit to a full another year of Aiden McConnell starting. I also don't love that they have this Jimmy Garoppolo signed on this long-term deal. Make me think that they are going to give him another opportunity to start. I mean, Jimmy G is not a bad quarterback at all, but it's already proved that it didn't work. And they already bailed on him. They bailed on him like too early to give him another opportunity. Mm-hmm. Like if you bail on the guy after like 6 or 7 starts it was this past year and you have Aiden O'Connell start the rest of the year.
Didn't he get injured though?
No, they benched Jimmy G.
Oh, wow.
He did have some injury issues, but they benched him. Mm-hmm. He was the backup for the back half of the season.
Okay.
So, and Aiden O'Connell didn't do anything special. Sure, he lit up the Chargers that one game, but like you need a quarterback if you're Vegas. I think was it Alec Pierce, the new head coach there, is going to kind of want a fresh start. He's going to want to start off his head coaching tenure on the right foot. And I think Michael Penix is just a phenomenal passer. Him, Jacoby Myers, Devontae Adams could be really dangerous.
I mean, that all makes a lot of sense to me. Just my concern is that is Michael Penix star material? Like, is he going to be a franchise QB or is he going to devolve into someone like Mac Jones or like a Zach Wilson?
It's very possible, but I think he's going to be better than both of those guys because he played in a much tougher where he's battling every game. I mean, in Washington, he played a lot of close games this last year, and he won them all until the very end, right? He won all those close games. So he knows how to win when it's tight. Mac Jones barely ever played in a game that was closer than like 20 points, except for that one conference championship against Florida. I mean, literally, Mac Jones' margin of victory in all of his starts is probably like 25 points. Yeah. I am not even kidding.
No, that's not even a joke, yeah.
Because nothing was competitive for Mac Jones. And Zach Wilson playing at BYU, it's just Zach Wilson is one of those guys who comes out at the Combine Pro Day and throws the ball 1,000,000 miles an hour and super far in his underwear and impressed a bunch of people. And there was talks that he was going to replace Trevor Lawrence as the number 1 pick.
That is just
I'm glad the Jaguars didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I think Michael Penix is much better than both of those. He is just an elite passer. I mean, he is surgical. You talk about surgical. I mean, he is a surgical passer of the football. And it's honestly, it pains me a little bit. If he had a better conference or national championship game, he would be viewed as the 3rd pick maybe. He would be viewed as a much better quarterback ahead of Bo Nix. Michael Penix beat Bo Nix 3 times. I think it was 3 times, once last year and twice this previous year. He outdueled him many times, and he played Texas in the playoffs phenomenal. Yeah. And he just, the last game, the last thing people have, the last taste in their mouths is a bad performance in the Natty, and that is the reason why he's sitting down here. There's a lot of good value with Michael Penix at 13 because going into the national championship, people were talking about him going at like 3 or 4.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It just scares me a little bit because I worry that Las Vegas is going to draft a guy who isn't that generational talent. He's not a Caleb Williams, and so it worries me.
A lot of these guys who end up being successful are not initially viewed as generational. But with him, though, I would be more worried about injuries because he is a little bit of injury-prone guy.
I got you.
Since we saw it Indiana, but that has been a while now.
Okay, fair enough. I actually have a different 13 pick here. I have J.C. Latham, offensive tackle out of Alabama. I think this is kind of a need for Vegas. Aside from the QB, I agree they need a QB because Aiden O'Connell is not an answer. Neither is Jimmy G anymore. But I was thinking that maybe, they could use some extra protection for whoever they end up enlisting to fill that void. Maybe they could
I like that.
Maybe they could even trade for someone.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Moving on to pick 14, we both have Jared Verse out of FSU, an edge rusher for the Saints. They also just are one of those teams that need to generate some more pressure.
Yep.
They were fine. I mean, they were just kind of fine across the board. They're one of those teams that doesn't have a full standout type of priority or need, but I do think that this is the way they're going to go.
Yeah. No, I like that pick a lot. I don't really have anything else to add to that. For 15, I have Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU, going to Indianapolis. I mean, the Colts have Michael Pittman, and I feel like that's about it.
No, dude, I don't like this pick,
you don't
man.
Like that?
They have Josh Downs and Alec Pierce.
Dude, I'm not a fan of those guys much.
They proved to be solid this year. And if you have a better thrower of the ball, we all know Gardner Minshew is not the best quarterback in the world. You put a better quarterback on that team, those guys could thrive. I really don't think wide receiver is a big need of theirs.
No?
I don't.
I just am not a fan of. I don't think Josh Downs and Alec Pierce are going
They're
to.
solid, man. I like Josh Downs a lot. I mean, he was putting up big numbers there. I mean, he was like a fantasy must-start for a few weeks there in a row.
A couple weeks, but then he turned into Rondale Moore.
I mean, it's Rondale Moore, dude.
The Ron Diddler.
Rondale ain't that bad either. It's Gardner Minshew. I love Gardner, but like you put Patrick Mahomes on that team. Dude, Patrick Mahomes would literally give up his left testicle to have receivers of that quality.
Oh, my.
I mean, collectively, those guys are way better than your Sky Moore, your MVS. What's the bum? McCole Hardman.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's even bummier than McCole Hardman.
Yeah.
I know McCole Hardman caught the Super Bowl winning touchdown, but it was wide open. It was the easiest thing in the world for him.
Yeah.
Those receivers would thrive on Kansas City. They are set at receiver. You just watch. If Anthony Richardson turns out well, it'll show through Josh Downs.
All right, man. Well,
they're both young on super cheap deals.
Yeah,
they don't need a receiver. They need somebody to shore up the back end of their defense, though, which gave up a ton of points. I mean, they gave up like 34 points to P.J. Walker and the Browns, so that's why they're going to take Quinion Mitchell, the cornerback.
That's a good pick. I mean, he went nuts in the combine, bro. I don't know if you saw, but he outdueled, I think, every cornerback for the bench press.
I love that, man. I have Toledo, too, a little group of 5 action.
Yeah, so super strong guy here, and he lit it up in the 40-yard dash. I think he had the second fastest time maybe of the defensive backs. So he ran a 4.3340.
Wow.
And Nate Wiggins ran a 4.28.
Wiggy.
So they were the two fastest guys. And yeah, Quinion Mitchell just lit up the combine. And like I said, very strong guy going nuts on the bench as well.
That's good to see, even though, like we talked about, I don't buy into the combine all that much because no one's in pads. It's not a realistic representation, but it's cool that you get bench. We love our bench press. Moving on to 16, though, I don't like my pick here, but I've been coerced by all these analysts that have J.J. McCarthy so high. It just seems like Seattle would be the best fit for J.J. McCarthy if he's got to go this soon. You know why? Let's track it. Mike McDonald is the new new head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Let's track his timeline a little bit. He was the defensive coordinator on the Baltimore Ravens last year, okay? Before that, where was he? He was the defensive coordinator of Michigan.
Yep.
Right? So he's been around J.J. McCarthy. It works perfectly. He already's familiar with the guy. He's already familiar with the Harbaughs, who are super tight with J.J. McCarthy. It's just the bloodline. It makes sense. We all know Geno Smith and Drew Lock are not long-term answers there, but they can start while J.J. McCarthy sits around a little bit, although I would like somebody a little bit better.
I was about to say, that's the only concern here is I don't know if they would be strong enough mentors for J.J.
I mean, Drew Lock certainly is not, because Drew Lock is still a pretty young guy.
Yeah.
But I do think Geno Smith could be a pretty good mentor for him. Geno Smith just seems like that type of leader. Geno Smith seems like the guy who's not going to be upset that there's going to be a younger guy behind him that will eventually take his spot. Whereas Aaron Rodgers did seem pretty ticked off when Jordan Love came, hopping around in the building, even though it never really threatens him until 3 years later or so. But hey, if J.J. McCarthy's got to go this early, fine. 16. I just can't believe that 6 quarterbacks just went within the top 16 picks. That's a QB like every 2.25 times pretty much, right?
Yeah, no, that is absolutely nuts. Yeah, that's wild.
It's insane.
Yeah. My 16 pick, I don't even know how to pronounce this exactly. Leatu Latu, I think. Edge out of UCLA.
This guy's good. He's good.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah, dude. Super talented guy, and I think Seattle's need is definitely on defense.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if he kind of swapped with Jared Verse, to be honest.
Yeah, no.
Jared Verse was an absolute demon against Louisville.
Yeah, man. I mean, these could definitely go either way here. It's just going to be a matter of if Jared Verse gets taken, by New Orleans at that 14 spot.
I wouldn't be surprised if New Orleans took Laiatu
over Jared Verse.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
okay.
Dallas Turner is undoubtedly the best edge rusher.
Yeah.
But between him and Jared Verse, I do think Jared may go sooner just because of the success that he had with FSU. UCLA, obviously not as much success as a team, but that's not a huge factor.
Right.
So, yeah, 16, good pick. I like that. 17, I have Nate Wiggins here out of, I think this is a Clemson guy. Yeah, going to Jacksonville. Again, another team that really struggled on the back end of their defense. Let's think back to a few games where they just got absolutely obliterated on defense. Joe Flacco lit them up. Let's think. Ryan Tannehill kind of lit them up at the end of the year. Let's think back a little bit more. Oh, yeah. Lamar Jackson lit them up. Who else beat them at the end of the year that was really disgusting? I mean, C.J. Stroud kind of tore them up a little bit, even though they lost that game.
Tennessee beat them, but obviously wasn't lighting them up.
I mean, Ryan Tannehill put up some good numbers against them.
Oh, was that in that game?
Yeah. I mean, they put up 28 points on the Jaguars.
I didn't realize that Ryan Tannehill was the quarterback for that game. I thought it was still Will Levis.
Yeah?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
My bad.
Mm-hmm. Will Levis was injured. That's why he didn't start that game.
Got it.
I know Ryan Tannehill threw a pick, but he still threw 2 touchdowns and beat them 28-20.
Right.
So
you're right. My bad.
Yeah, but they need to straighten up their back end of the defense. I think as long as they keep Josh Allen, their defensive line guy.
I think he is actually free agency right now.
I know he is.
Yeah.
That's why everyone, a Bills fan, I heard, is like they need to create this campaign. Like Josh Allen is going to convince Josh Allen to come to the Bills, and it's like just this mega Josh Allen coalition. You know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah.
We'll see what happens there. But that's who I'm going to have at 17.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I think that Jacksonville does need a quarterback here, and that's why I'm going to take Terrion Arnold here, who you had going at 11. I had him falling down here to 17, but still taking a cornerback because that's Jacksonville's need, and he's the best one left on the board right now.
Yeah, cornerback's just not a huge need for some of these early teams, and that's why if you have Minnesota taking a quarterback, he'll fall down for sure.
Yep.
At 18, I have offensive tackle Taliese Fuaga. So Cincinnati's always struggled with the offensive line. They need to protect Joe Burrow. He's obviously had a lot of injuries over the last few years, even though he's able to make it work with a bad offensive line, as we saw when they made the Super Bowl run. But yeah, that's definitely a priority for them, assuming they do keep Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, which it looks like they will. I think they franchise tag T.
Yeah, I mean, those were my exact same thoughts here. I do not have Taliese Fuaga, but rather J.C. Latham, but these guys are basically interchangeable.
I have him next here.
Yeah, exactly. And so they need to protect Burrow, and they don't exactly need another receiver. They've already got plenty of talent there.
They also have Tyler Boyd still, as long as he stays.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at 19 for the Rams, I have J.C. Latham, just like you had at 18. The Rams, obviously the offensive line is not as big of a need as Cincinnati, but they still definitely need to protect the aging Matt Stafford. And we already saw their offense is elite as it is with Puka, Cooper Kupp, their tight ends. I mean, they have a tight end out of Clemson who's pretty good. And what's the running back's name that came out of Notre Dame?
Kyron Williams.
Yeah, oh my God, I can't believe I blanked on my own guy.
All good, brother. So I've got over here for the Rams taking Nate Wiggins, who I also think they could benefit from a cornerback. Now,
their defense was not great either.
Yeah, and so they had Jalen Ramsey on their team before, and they lost him. And obviously Jalen Ramsey, very talented cornerback. Yeah,
they lost a bunch of their pieces.
Right. They need to fill this void, and Nate Wiggins, after running the best time in the 40-yard dash out of the cornerbacks, at least, that 4.28, he really improved his draft stock, I think, and so I think that he'll be taken up here by the Rams.
I think he might have picked off Sam Hartman in that game, to be honest. So he scares me a little bit. He scares me. At pick number 20, I have Amarius Mims. This is our streak of offensive tackles. At least for me, I have 5 in a row here. Pittsburgh definitely needs one. They really struggled in this area. I mean, obviously their quarterback play was not great, but I do have to give Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and Mitch Trubisky a little bit of slack. They did not have the best protection in the world. So Amarius Mims out of Georgia it is.
Yep, I mean, that fits exactly my same thoughts here, but I've still got Taliesin Fuaga on the board.
Yeah.
So I'm going to roll with him.
Yeah, we're basically just, this is basically like high school. Like everybody, gets together with everyone's girl at some point. You have somebody that I have at the next pick. It's just all a little amalgam here.
I love that.
All right, at 21, Miami definitely needs this. They don't want Tua to get hurt. I think I said this the other day, a law of averages. Tua had a year, didn't get injured at all, where he's had injuries almost every year of his career in college, including. So to combat the law of averages, they're going to draft Tyler Guyton, another offensive tackle here.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly makes sense to me. Like the pick, and yeah, hopefully they can protect Tua. Don't need him having any more bad injuries again. I've actually got Quinyon Mitchell going here because I still had him on the board from earlier. I know you took him at 15, but I've still got him down here at 21. I think he kind of makes sense for the Miami dynamic. They're just kind of that sneaky team that loves the fast players.
Yeah, it's almost like best player available. Like you almost got to take him if he falls to you.
Right.
He's a really good player.
Yeah, exactly. And it really just fits their dynamic speed kind of team. They've got Tyreek and they've got Waddle. They've got these fast guys. I think Quinyon would match that well. Just
a bunch of cheetahs on their team.
Dude.
They just need to change their name at this point. The Miami Cheetahs.
Well, they might be getting trounced by Xavier Worthy because there might be a new cheetah in town.
But I don't know about that, dude.
We will see.
He gives me John Ross III vibes.
I don't know, man, but we will see. We'll see.
Philadelphia, 22. Jackson Powers Johnson, yet another offensive tackle. They're going to shore up the offensive line that's incurred a few damages lately. Obviously, Jason Kelce retiring and just kind of getting old all around. And they're going to kind of replace that with a youngin here.
Yep, like the pick. I am going to buff up their defense, though.
Yeah, they have a lot of holes, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
So
Chop Robinson, bro. Another guy really excelled in the combine. One of the great edges out of Penn State here. Really liked what he showcased.
That's
not
fair.
only in college, but also at the combine. So I'm going to say that Philly will take him, rather, to improve their defense this year.
I like that for sure. They definitely need to. Their defense was abysmal.
Yeah.
Next
at least
up,
at the end of the season.
Yeah. 23, I have Houston taking Latu, who you had going a little bit earlier out of UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, just combining him with, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. Who won Defensive Rookie of the Year?
Oh,
How could I possibly be blanking on this guy? Defensive Rookie of the Year. Jalen Carter.
Yes.
Wait, no, he's on the Eagles.
No, that's...
Oh, Will Anderson.
Yeah, I knew someone.
Yes, Will Anderson. God, the way Google presented it, they say Jalen Carter edged out by Will Anderson.
Yeah.
What a horrible way of wording that.
Should be Will Anderson edges out.
That's passive voice right there.
Well,
remember
dude,
that?
I'm a passive voice king.
I don't want to scare you, but
I can never understand whether or not it's passive. But you always would revise my papers
I'm
at
a
ND.
sniper when it comes to passive voice, and yeah, Google just screwed me with that. Yes, you pair him with Will Anderson, and that is a deadly defensive line.
I agree. I mean, yeah, it is. But I kind of liked Houston's defense as it was. I mean, they had a solid defense. I'm not saying that this would not be a good pick for them, but rather I picked an offensive lineman to further protect C.J. Stroud. So that's why I picked Troy Fautanu here out of Washington.
That sounds so similar to Olufashinahu.
Dude, I know. Some of these names are tough for me to say here, but yeah, I think this would be beneficial to them because
that's fair.
Yeah.
At 24, I have Jordan Morgan, another offensive tackle. Their offensive line's aging as well as the Eagles, so they're going to need somebody to maintain protection of Dak Prescott.
Yep, same logic that I had here. I've got Amarius Mims, offensive tackle out of Georgia. Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot. Dallas has a lot of other weapons already. I mean, they've got CD as top receiver, and I even like their other receivers, man. Like Brandon Cooks is still like a solid second option, and then Jake Ferguson is a nice little tight end.
I like Jake Ferguson a lot.
And then don't they also have like the bonus tight end? It's like a Schoonmaker or something like that.
Schoonmaker.
Yeah. And
He's interesting.
Even he's not half bad. So they've got a nice little offensive lineup there already. And I think that they would benefit here from, just a boost to their O-line.
Yeah, good stuff. I concur. At 25, I have Byron Murphy, defensive tackle, going to the Packers. Their defense at times was horrible. I know at the end of the year, they just magically came together against the Bears, the Cowboys. They played very well against the 49ers. But let's remember, the Panthers put up 30 points against them and probably should have even won that game. It was the highest point total of the Panthers all year by like 9 points.
Yeah.
So they need to shore up that defense. They fired Joe Brady, their defensive coordinator, for a reason. It's also a little bit of a personnel problem, though, so that's why they're going to take Byron Murphy here.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I don't know if you know this, but 12 out of the last 13 first-round draft picks by Green Bay have been defensive players.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why Aaron Rodgers was always so fed up with them, because they would never get offensive players to help him out.
Yeah.
Even though they still ended up with phenomenal offensive talent through just later picks, Vontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson's a little bit of a loose goose, but I think I like Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs a lot.
Yeah, no, they're solid. And then I've got Cooper DeJean here, cornerback out of Iowa. Similar to what you said.
Cooper DeJean's an absolute wild animal. He's a white cornerback.
A loose goose?
He's not quite a loose. Dude, he's a tight coverage goose.
Tight coverage?
Like he's flying and flapping on you, dude. He's just, you can't get away from him. I mean, he is just shitting all over your back.
Like a malevolent mallard?
Yes, dude. Oh my God. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
No, I'm glad you like that.
It's really rare. I think this will be like the highest drafted like white cornerback ever.
Nice, dude. Well, I do think
he's great.
Green Bay is definitely liable to draft another defensive player. It just seems to be the way that they roll with these drafts.
Yeah, so that is a great pick. You can't go wrong with him. I just have him at the next pick here, going to Tampa Bay. They've lost a few pieces over the year that have aged. So hopefully they can keep Antoine Winfield, but it would be great to add another piece as well.
Yeah, good stuff there. I've actually got Tampa taking Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver from Texas, here to fill the void from Mike Evans, because Mike Evans, I think, is gone from Tampa now, and I think they're going to need a talented receiver to fill that gap.
You've snuck in some receivers into this draft. You have a lot of receivers in your top 32 here.
I do, yeah. You mostly have like OTs. At least in your like bottom 16 to 32.
I just don't think some of these receivers are first round quality at all.
No? Okay.
I'm sorry. I feel like if anybody would sneak in, though, it's Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, well, Tampa needs someone to fill the Mike Evans void.
Mike Evans is staying, actually.
What?
It was announced today.
It was just announced today? Bro, I'm behind on my news. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It is pretty much official that Mike Evans is signing like a 2-year, $52 million deal.
That's wacky.
That's a big boy deal.
I was literally watching it this morning like on SportsCenter, and they were saying about Mike Evans is liable to leave.
Everyone thought he would. He would probably go to the Chiefs and then make our lives miserable, but he decided to keep the playing field rather level and stay with the Bucs.
I much prefer your pick now, because I don't think Tampa will be taking
they're still gonna have Chris Godwin.
They
still have some other good pieces. I like Kadon a lot, so I do like them going defensive here, maybe off offensive line. But 27, I have Arizona taking Chop Robinson, finally another edge rusher. They definitely need to generate some more pressure. They have a lot of holes, though, so I would not be surprised if they filled it with a cornerback or even another offensive tackle, somebody like that. But I'm going to just go with Chop Robinson here, kind of best player available.
Yeah, I've got Jerzon Newton. He's a D lineman out of Illinois. Again, he's going to provide the pressure that Arizona needs. Their defense was terrible this year, downright abysmal.
Yeah, it was bad.
For most of the season. They had games where they're letting up 40 points to players, or to teams, rather. So they definitely need to improve that D-line and just get pressure on the quarterbacks and take get some sacks for once.
Yeah.
That rarely
get some
happens.
Sacks, Cardinals.
Yeah, come on, man.
Birds. At 28, I have Brian Thomas Jr. going to Buffalo. So this is the other receiver that Jaden Daniels threw to out of LSU. Mm-hmm. You had him going a lot earlier. I think he's definitely more of a late first round type of guy. And Buffalo definitely needs a receiver. Gabe Davis shows up every 3 games and maybe not even that often. Stephon Diggs had a disappointing year. He's getting a little bit diva-ish. I'm a little concerned about how long he's going to be there.
Right.
The only thing I feel good about, which not saying a whole lot, is Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, he did kind of emerge.
Receiver. He really did. So they're going to have to add to that. I think Dalton Kincaid's a great piece, but you're going to need a receiver. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be the answer for that.
Yeah, I think Gabe might be gone, actually. He might.
Good.
Yeah, but he was not much of a.
I was highly disappointed by Gabe.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially when he didn't even know how to turn around the right direction in that game against the Eagles, where the Bills would have ended up winning. But anyways, yeah, I've got also a wide receiver here. I've got them taking Ladd McConkey out of Georgia for the Bills. How do you feel about that?
No, I don't like this one at all, dude. He's just a lad. He's not. He's not
I don't
the
know.
guy.
He feels like more of like a knight, like like if we're talking like royalty, like a little kingly knight, not just a little.
Dude, the kingly knights, Marvin Harrison. Ladd McConkey's just one of them dudes like protecting the moat. Like he's out by the moat, dude. Outside
Marvin
the castle.
Harrison's more of like a duke. He's like up there. In
okay,
the
that's fair. That's fair. Ladd McConkey's like the guy who like
he does the drawbridge.
Yes, exactly, dude. How did you tell from my hand movement? That's exactly what I was going for. He's the dude who lowers the drawbridge over the moat. Like he's a nice piece. You need him, but like other guys could do his job.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think he's one of the top receivers available here for Buffalo.
I mean, I guess so, because you had like all the other good guys gone by this point.
Yeah, this is actually crazy because I had Brian Thomas going at 15 and you had him all the way down at 28.
Yeah,
that might be the biggest gap.
That is nuts. Yeah. I mean, it honestly could work out either of these ways, but I do feel confident that Ladd McConkey is not a first round pick.
Okay.
I could see Adane, I could see Xavier, but not really Ladd.
Okay.
All right, so where are we at here? 29?
Yes, sir.
Ennis Rakestraw Jr., a name and a half there, cornerback going to Detroit. That is their biggest need, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Their cornerback is definitely in need. Their defense was pretty abysmal, despite how far they ended up making it, but they got lit up multiple times throughout the season. I mean, Nick Mullins threw for like 1,000 yards in 2 games on them almost. It was nuts. So they need to shore up their defense for sure. Their offense is totally fine. Their offensive line's totally fine. So that's where they need to go.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Goff stayed protected for basically the whole year.
Yeah, that Penei Sewell pick a long time ago ended up really coming in clutch.
Yeah.
And they got, the guy out of Michigan, what's his name? Aiden. Oh, my God, why am I bad with names today? The guy out of Michigan, the edge rusher out of Michigan.
Aiden Hutchinson?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I don't know why I'm struggling with the names
No,
today.
all good. Yeah, I've also got him taking a cornerback here, Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama.
That's another name and a half right there.
Yeah, dude, that might be the most unique name of any NFL player, at least the first name.
Birth certificate.
You don't think?
I don't think so.
You don't think that's his real name? I'm pretty sure that's his real name, man. I don't think that's a nickname.
There's no way it's on his birth certificate. There's no way you name your kid Kool-Aid.
Dude, I think it is. It has to be, right? I don't think.
No, it's not.
What?
Confirmed. His real name is JaQuincy Kool-Aid McKinstry.
Oh, is his middle name Kool-Aid? Or that's
just
his nickname? Okay.
JaQuincy McKinstry. That's his name. That's another. That's still a good name, though.
I do like that, yeah. But, I mean...
JaQuincy McKinstry.
Yeah, not a whole lot of difference here between our two picks. Both are basically top cornerback prospects.
All right, 30, Baltimore. I'm going to have them take Keon Coleman, wide receiver out of Florida State. The dude is an animal. I know I've been saying that a lot, but we do have a lot of cats in this draft. A lot of big mans. And I like Keon Coleman. I think he really elevated that team because I don't think their quarterback, Jordan Travis, is all that great. And he's one of those situations kind of like we talked about with Marvin Harrison, Kyle McCord. Marvin Harrison really elevated Kyle McCord just like Keon Coleman elevated Jordan Travis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they definitely have a need for
a new wide receiver. Is really just there for like moral support,
right?
And as a decoy.
Who else are they going to throw to? Like Rashad Bateman? I mean, he doesn't like to catch anything.
Rashad Bateman and those other guys. I mean, I
like Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers is fine, although he's left a really bad taste in my mouth after that game against Kansas City.
Yeah. I, however, am going to take Tyler Guyton here. I can't believe he's still available in my draft, that he fell to the 30 spot. But, yeah, you had him going all the way up at 21 to Miami. So the fact that he's still available now, for me, I think that it makes sense for Baltimore to take him, add a little bit of extra protection for Lamar, especially when he likes to scamper around, as we know that he likes to do.
For sure. At 31, I have Kool-Aid McKinstry here, a.k.a. JaQuincy McKinstry, cornerback. Yeah, I mean, they need to shore up their defense as well.
Who are they going to draft on offense, right? I mean, there's nothing they need.
Assuming they can keep everybody. I know Brandon Ayuk will be wanting a big-term deal. But I hope, as long as they can keep him, I think they need to look to the defensive side of the ball here. So 31, Kool-Aid McKinstry to the Niners.
Yeah, that's a good pick. And I actually have Darius Robinson, the edge out of Mizzou, going to the 49ers. I
like that because I think Chase Young's a bust. I don't think that he's going to stay on that team, or if he is, it's just not a big impact player.
And so now Darius Robinson to complement Nick Bosa is crazy, bro.
I know.
Think about that. I mean, 49ers were already elite this past year. I mean, their offense was just legendary. And now you've got Darius Robinson on one end and Nick Bosa on the other end of their defense.
Yeah.
And their cornerbacks are still solid. I mean, they had Charvarius Ward, who just was crazy.
They do have some phenomenal players all around, but they were liable to get beat up a little bit on the back end.
That's true, yeah. But I like this pick a lot.
Yeah, I like that one too for sure. And then at 32, I guess, I don't love this pick, but I have Troy Franklin, the wide receiver out of Oregon, going to the Chiefs. They absolutely need to add another receiver.
Oh, yeah.
Rashee Rice is good, but everyone else on that team in terms of receiver,
they're chalked.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a bunch of just bozos. I'm sorry. McCole Hardman, every once in a while. MVS, every once in a while. And then you have Kadarius Toney, who's like never once in a while at all. Like,
yeah, I know.
So Troy Franklin is out of Oregon, but I could see them getting wooed by Xavier Worthy out of Texas for his speed. But I just think Troy Franklin's a better all-around receiver.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I just kind of liked them taking Xavier Worthy here to fill the void that has been missing since Tyreek went to the Dolphins. It almost seemed like a fitting little spot after Xavier Worthy broke the NFL Combine record. He ran a 4.21 40-yard dash. Very impressive. And that's like 0.08 seconds faster than Tyreek's. He ran a 4.29. And so it just seems like he's an absolute speedster, and I get that historically he had a lot of drops. However, he did cut those drops in half this past season at Texas. So I think that this would be a good pick for Kansas City, just to take a little bit of a risk when their team's already quite talented.
Yeah, it's a fair pick for sure. He's got a good name. I'll give him that. But he just gives me some of those wide receiver bust type vibes. I just think he's one of those like hot receivers that all he can do is run a straight line. I know I'm selling him short a little bit, but I just think people get a little bit too caught up in the combine. And that I know we talked about this earlier today, but
he is very thin.
There's a difference between football speed and just pure speed. Sure, the dude's got Olympic caliber speed, but Tyreek Hill and some of these other guys are just faster in pads.
Yeah.
And it's hard to gauge when they're just running in a sleeveless shirt and basketball shorts. It's really hard to gauge for me. So I don't really love Xavier Worthy going this soon. I like some of these more built out, full, thorough wide receivers like Brian Thomas Jr., Troy Franklin. They might not be the fastest guys in the world, but they're better route runners. They have a bigger route tree instead of just running as fast as possible. I mean, John Ross III, I'm sure, has had some big touchdowns. I'm sure he's had some big 60-yard bombs, but where's he at now? He's not doing a whole lot.
No, he's not.
I could think of a few other guys like that as well. So, I mean, I'm sure he could probably have some sort of success, but I'm not really feeling it. And yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I just think that some team in the first round will be coerced by that 40 time and want to take an absolute speed demon.
Yeah, I mean, I think J.J. McCarthy is also a big coercion king.
Yeah.
Just with the last taste, everyone, like the final impression really is important. The first impression, everyone talks about that, but last impressions are very important as well.
Yeah.
And with JJ, it's winning the Natty, and with this guy, it's setting the combine record. So they are very important factors for sure.
Right.
But there you guys have it. There's our mock draft first round 1.0. I can guarantee you we probably won't be dipping into the second or third rounds because that just really gets muddy in the water. You know, that's like,
yeah, it's hard for us to name those picks.
yeah, that's going to be tough for really anybody. It's just a crapshoot at that point. It's so dependent on what happens beforehand. We already went over our bet recap, so we're going to get on with our best bets for this upcoming week. I'll let you go over your NBA picks while I find the game that the Magic Conch will decide.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, I've got a couple picks here. So Miami Heat at Dallas Mavericks. They are playing on Thursday this week. I really like the Mavericks to cover the spread that is yet to be determined. We're going to roll with that again this week. So
living dangerously.
Dude, I know, but it worked last week, so we're going to do it again. It's tough when we record these early and like the really lines aren't out yet. So it's hard for us to make the best bets, but I still like that. So both of these teams have the exact same record here. Dallas is going to be at home, and they've actually been on a little bit of kind of a losing streak. So this it might be a questionable pick for you to say, oh, well, why are you taking their spread? This is a bounce-back game for them. The Heat have not been performing quite as well as they should have, and I really think that Dallas has actually been underperforming what they're capable of. This feels like a game where Luka throws up 40 points to me, and I really like the Mavericks to win this game and even cover the spread that comes with it. I think they'll probably be favored by like maybe 3.5 points.
Good stuff.
I like them to cover that one.
All right.
And then my next bet here, I've got the Celtics at the Suns to play on Saturday. I want to take Phoenix money line in this game. Now, Celtics are the best team in the league. They've only got like 12 losses all season.
That's absurd, dude. Why are they always so good?
Dude, they've got so much talent around
Phoenix has been pretty good lately.
Yeah, I
over
like
the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, Phoenix is solid.
They have
Devin Booker, they have Kevin Durant.
And they have Ayton, right? DeAndre Ayton still, right? Or no?
Oh, man. I can't remember.
He might be gone by now, but
yeah,
KD is just the absolute man.
Yeah, no, they've got a lot of talent, and this feels like a game that, I don't know.
Oh, DeAndre's on the Blazers now.
Okay, yeah. This feels like a game to me where Jason Tatum might not have as good of a showing as he usually does, and that he's just going to get locked down by this strong Suns defense. Devin Booker, really like him to come out strong. It feels like a first half for Devin Booker of like maybe like 23 points in the first half.
Wow.
Like just like a really good night for Devin. And yeah, Phoenix they're gonna be home underdogs in this game. I have it like listed as an approximation as plus 200. I think that might actually be a little too high. They're probably gonna be closer like plus 140 or something like that. But I still like them to come up and win this game against the Celtics.
Good stuff. I hope they do. I'd much rather see Phoenix win than Boston.
Yes, sir.
But here's the game. We got two of the biggest, baddest college basketball programs of all of history.
Well, let's hope
North Carolina at Duke.
Let's hope that the Conch doesn't say bet a different game, but
they better not.
So is Duke at home?
Duke is at home.
All right.
Duke is ranked 9. North Carolina is 7.
So do you think, I would assume Duke is going to be favored.
Duke will be favored by quite a bit here. I'll give my prediction in a second.
All right, well, Magic Conch, what's the play for the UNC at Duke game? Is it Saturday?
Saturday at 5:30 Central Time.
The under? I kind of wanted to hear an underdog or favorite out of you, Conch, but
all right. Don't question the Conch.
The Conch
knows best.
The Conch is undefeated in basketball so far, so I guess
Duke just held a team to 48 points, so there was that. I'm sure that hit the under.
Okay.
Yeah, that did hit the under.
I don't love the pick, Conch, but if you go 4-0 here, I cannot doubt anything you say anymore, because this is just... The Conch has been so surgical. Maybe we can just only use the Conch for basketball. It didn't like the football games very much.
It's not as knowledgeable about football as it is basketball. But while I will not be able to come up with an over-under, unfortunately, I will predict the spread to be Duke favored by 7.5. They both have games prior to this game, though. North Carolina plays Notre Dame at home. Duke goes on the road to NC State. So, I would assume they both win those games pretty handedly. But, yeah, those outcomes could affect the spread. But I'm just going to say Duke favored by 7.5 points.
Wow, that's kind of a large spread. Just for funsies, can you give me a number for
over-under?
Over-under.
Holy frick. What am I supposed to do here? All right, let's see when they played last. It was pretty high. Oh, wow. It was 84-93. North Carolina won at home. Over 154 hit. So I'm going to say it's going to be a little lower because it's at Duke. Duke's a little bit better defensively. I'm going to go 147.5.
Dude, these feel like such sharp numbers to me. Like, I look at this and I just think, like, that could be it.
I mean, it looks like a real spread.
It does.
Man.
It definitely does, yeah.
I'm just trying to hone my Vegasness right now.
Dude, I love that.
We send this into the bookmakers, and I could get myself a job finally as a odds maker.
Dude, you honestly could. They make
How
so
could
much
they
coin.
reject me if I'm just generating accurate spreads and over-unders? And
without any statistical models, rather.
And when I did it last time, the spread should have been closer to where I put it because that Kentucky ended up winning by like 20-some points against Alabama, and they set that spread at like single digits.
Yeah, so it seems to me that you're better than Vegas bookies.
Yeah. Except when I gave you that plus 400 today at my flop shot.
No, yeah, that cost me a little bit of coin. That definitely,
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I honestly did not think I was going to be able to pull that off. I mean, I was right up against that tree, dude.
Yeah.
I had to get out the 58 degree, dude. I had the 52. I was like, nah, I'll probably shank this. So I get out the 58.
It's okay. I almost
up and over.
I told myself plus 4,000 odds on that one putt that I put to like 2 feet away.
Yeah, if
so
I took you
close.
on that, if we had like a graduated type of feet proximity system, I mean, I would have lost money. I mean, the fact that you got within like 3 feet, you should have been at least like plus 2,000 at most.
Yeah.
If you got within 3 feet.
Even that feels a little high.
And you hit the log. You hit the branch. You hit the stick.
I did hit the stick, bro. The stick disrupted.
And that diverted it to the left, and you missed left.
I know.
Otherwise, you had the pace.
The pace and the line.
So
without the stick, bro.
Would have been dangerous.
It all comes back to the stick.
It really is. That stupid stick. But hey, that's what happens when you play golf March 4th before, they really get out there and start grounds keeping it up and all that. So
yeah,
there you guys have it. Though we don't have any fan mail.
No, nothing this week to report. But send in something. I want something exciting.
Someone email us.
Yeah, someone needs to send us an email.
Make it appropriate though.
Yeah,
we don't want any weird pictures or anything like that.
No. Send us a comment on our picks, or if you tell us we think the top 3 draft picks will be Caleb, Drake, and Jaden Daniels. Maybe we will include you in our next episode.
Yeah, I think some of the best debates that we'll be able to look back on are Drake May versus Jaden Daniels, and some of these receivers, and the JJ McCarthy one as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
so,
where is he gonna get taken?
Thank you guys as always for listening. We appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next time.